Okay, it's 4:01. I'd like to call this meeting to order, the Central Administration Boardroom. This is the Group Insurance Committee meeting of February 22nd, 2023. Before we take roll call, I just want to quickly introduce, we have a new member to the committee, Joseph. He's representing WESP. So just wanted to introduce him to the committee. Okay, go ahead. Roll call.
Okay, Jeff Boston, present. Eric Diamond.
Present.
Mike Dixon.
Present.
Rachel Drake.
Present.
Tony McMillan.
Present.
Vicky Cooper.
Present.
Don Escheberry.
Present.
Robert Munson.
Present.
Joseph Silviero.
Present.
We have four.
Okay. Let's go ahead and just 2.01 is presentation and discussion of the Washington County School District Insurance Internal Fund as of December 2022. Mark is going to present for us. Thank you. CFO.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll go through this pretty quickly, as I know you have a number of items before you. So I'm hoping you all do have our financial or unaudited financial statement package in front of you. And like I say, I'll go through this fairly quickly. So we start with the balance sheet statement, which is here on page 1. And this reflects obviously all the changes to revenues and expenditures that you'll see behind it. So, you know, kind of a bottom line picture for you. And you can see here that if you go down to the very bottom and we look at the net position of the fund, which is what us accountants call the fund balance of the fund, because it's an internal service fund. You can see we're $8.66 million lower as of December 31, 2022 versus December 31 of 2021. So not a great trend, but we're going to talk about kind of why that is and what we do about that. So on the second page then is our comparison of operating revenues for the first half of the fiscal year for the period ended 12/31 of 22 versus 12/31 of 21. And you can see in the top line there under PPO premiums, probably, you know, which has the biggest variance. We saw $1.8 million less in premium revenue. So this is premium revenue from both the district and then for dependents from enrollees. So that was a 6% drop this fiscal year through the first half compared to last fiscal year, the first half. That is mostly due to just a lower number of dependents and enrollees. So fewer employees and fewer dependents. And that's the explanation for kind of that drop. The other drop that I might note to you is under the other category, prescription rebates. That's 800. That we saw 2.15 million in rebates for the first half of the fiscal year compared to 2.95 million last fiscal year at this time. So an $803,000 drop, and we think that's mainly a timing issue. But we'll stay on top of that and continue to kind of follow that trend. The next page shows operating expenses for the fund. And here you can see under PPO medical services, costs of $26.9 million for the first half of the fiscal year versus $23.975 million last fiscal year at this time, or an increase of 12% or $2.9 million. And so as I'm sure LP will kind of go through in their presentation or in later meetings with you, you know, we are seeing an increase in utilization of services, not completely unexpected, again, as we kind of get through the COVID years and people kind of get services or procedures that they may have deferred. We also see medical services costs grow in the high deductible health plan of $574,000 or 27%. So again, just greater utilization of services. And then the next line I would point out to you would be prescription drugs, where we see a 17% increase year over year from 9.25 million in the first half of last fiscal year to 10.8 million this fiscal year for the first 6 months. So again, same kind of explanation here in terms of greater utilization. Along with the greater utilization, though, we certainly have seen an increase in large claims costs. So the way I look at it is we had some really nice years with fewer large claims, and so there's always a reversion to the mean you can expect, right? So we would expect, you get some good years and then some not so good years. So again, nothing too unexpected really here, other than the total dollar amount, which, again, is significantly higher than last fiscal year. Turning to the next page then, this is again a historical summary, a monthly summary of operating revenues. You'll notice that we kind of get through the first few months of the fiscal year, and as people come on board and get through their 90-day waiting period, right, we see premium revenues kind of climb, but then in December you kind of see that drop. So November we saw 5.3 million in Anthem PPO revenues, and then it dropped to 4.4, and that is based on the fact that our 9, 10, and 11th month classified employees have paid, the total amount due at that point. They've hit their maximum in November, and so we wouldn't be collecting premiums from them in December. So fairly typical kind of an occurrence. The next page shows our monthly operating expenses. You can see a jump in December there in terms of total medical services. Again, fairly common, fairly typical as people schedule services on the winter break and so forth. So then if we go to the next page, the expense history. Sorry if I'm going too fast, just stop me. If you have any questions, just stop me. I know this is riveting. I see you all focused very, very closely on this. This shows monthly expenses over the years. You can see we hit an actual kind of all-time high in December of 2022. You can see that $11.156 million expense. But again, if you look at 2 years ago, we had total costs of $9.3 million. So there may be between December and January a little bit of an averaging going on, so we might expect to see a decrease in January compared to last fiscal year this time. So it's kind of where we stand at the moment. In terms of then net position, which is the next page, again, think of it as the fund balance. We have seen a drop. So we started the fiscal year off with $36.4 million net position. You can see that in June of 22. And now we're at $25.88 million. So that's a significant drop. I don't want to minimize that. We are monitoring trends. We will continue to monitor that. What you will typically see is in the second half of the fiscal year a rebound. And so if you go in any past year here, you can kind of see we hit a low point a lot of times in December, and then the fund balance builds up the second half of the year. So we will certainly monitor this on a monthly basis and see if that same pattern holds true. Again, what we're seeing here are lower revenues on the premium side as the number of active employees and their dependents drops, but greater utilization. So less revenue, greater expenses. Certainly it would be a concern to see a drop in your net position of more than $10 million in the first 6 months, but we'll see how the second half of the fiscal year goes. I know LP will be coming forward with rate recommendations. We'll really zero in then on kind of what we see in the first several months of the coming calendar year, and that'll inform kind of decisions going from there. Again, not a great trend, but on the other hand, I would say a net position of close to $26 million for a fund of this size is still a healthy reserve. So I don't want to alarm you that we're hitting a point where we would be extremely concerned and have cash flow issues and so forth. We're not there by any stretch. So again, we'll continue to kind of monitor trends and see where they go. Any questions on the health insurance fund? Okay. I think the last two pages are about the wellness fund, so again, I'll go through those real quickly. You know, in terms of the balance sheet, we actually saw an improvement to this fund's fund balance from $600,000 basically to $700,000. And the second page kind of tells you why we've seen much fewer expenditures through December 31. We had some, as you know, wellness screenings that we think will be billed in January, so we think we'll actually kind of be right on the line with last year when we look at expenses through January. But we hadn't seen those billings come through as of December 31, so they haven't been booked or accrued yet. So there you have it. I'll entertain any questions you might have.
Any questions from the committee? Go ahead.
Hey, Mark, Tony McMillan for the record. What's your feeling for vacant positions in the district as we progress through these months? Have we filled vacant positions, or are we still pretty steadily, I want to say, in the 150 vacant position range?
I think we're tracking right there. I'm not the Chief Human Resources Officer, so I don't have my fingers on those numbers. I think it continues to be a struggle to fill positions. I think we've made progress, but there's still a long way to go. So we do continue to have a serious number of vacancies in the district for sure, both certified, classified, and our pro-tech positions, absolutely.
Any other questions? I just wanted to note, 25 million you said is still a fairly healthy number, and if you look at the history of it, for much of the time that's listed here, we are in the 20-25 range. And I remember when I first came on this committee, there was a 10-year view of it, and there was quite a few years that were negative. The district was really fronting the money. So I think that, I'm concerned, but I'm also aware of the fact that it's not dire or anything. So thank you for pointing that out. Appreciate it. No question. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, item 2.02, presentation and discussion of the Washoe County School District Group Insurance Claims Experience Report as of January 2023.
Good afternoon, everyone. Lloyd Barnes with LP Insurance Services for the record. So I'll build on some of Mark's comments and, as he said, sort of take a look at this stuff from a slightly different perspective, from a claims utilization perspective. And again, we closed out the calendar year 2022 last meeting, so this really is focused on the one exciting month of January as we get into 2023. So certainly very limited data as we get into this. So you can see there that on our executive summary, pretty straightforward there. The enrollment counts for this first month pretty static, although dependent counts are down again in the January count, about 2.4%. So to some of Mark's comments there. In looking at the claims paid, up about 7.5% on a net claims paid basis for the first month, at 6.2 million essentially, compared to last year's average of 5.76 million. So up, as I said, about 7.5, and that on a composite basis is up about 7.2. Fixed costs pretty flat as you would expect, so gives us sort of an overall total cost of 6.58 million compared to 6.1, so up about 7%. Also on a composite basis at the 949. I did have two claims that we are tracking already. That's a little early for our plan, but they're there. We'll talk a little bit further about that as we get into the other reports. So as we go to Exhibit 2, excuse me, and this is as you can see, and sort of as Mark alluded to, this cost trend increase continues to be going in a direction we don't really like. Again, I don't think it's anything to be necessarily alarmed about, but, this is a rolling 12-month average, so it does smooth that out a bit, and so it is on an upward trajectory, and it has been really for the last 12 months. We have had, as Mark said, very, very, very good, solid, stable years, and actually some really good down years, as noted by the graph, but we are in that upward trend, and it is something we are seeing sort of across the board with all of our self-funded clients, and in the industry as a whole. January was sort of up across the board on top of sort of a pretty heavy fourth quarter of calendar year 22. So it's something that everyone in the industry is, I think, sort of just looking at and saying, we gotta, where's this thing gonna go? And hopefully it stabilizes a bit, but certainly costs do seem to be going up, and it is primarily utilization and volume driven. You did have some large claims as you ended the last calendar year, probably definitely above the bar large claim experience. I still do believe we're going to have started to see and will continue to see some cost inflation with contracts, although our good friends at Anthem are doing a great job to try to keep those contracts as stable as possible. I think as they do renew, I think we're going to see some price inflation there. So that's sort of the trend look. As we get into Exhibit 3, really just...
One question.
Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
For the record, Jeff Bozza, thanks, Lloyd. On this chart here, the orange line is revenues per employee. Our rates haven't changed in a few years, but this line seems to slowly fluctuate up and down a little bit. Do you know why that is?
It's based on it. The way we do it is based on total revenue that we get reported back to us from your team somewhere. And so I think there is a little bit of just adjustments based on some of those total revenue accounts like Mark was alluding to. I'd have to dive deeper into it to get to exactly.
Are dependents included?
Just total revenue divided by employees, as I
Okay.
understand it.
So if the amount of dependents on the plan were fluctuating, that might cause that too.
Certainly could have some impact on that as well. And as you can see, it doesn't move a whole lot
Right.
there, but we do have some slight variation in that number
Okay.
from month to month.
All right, thank you.
Moving on to the next exhibit. Again, this is really just looking in a little bit more detail at the total costs broken down by the various categories. And I won't bore you with all the different rows there, but you can see there, this is how we get to that 6.1 million on line 30 with a composite cost of $893, with our fixed cost coming in at about $384,000 for a total composite of $949. And that leads us over to the 6.8% overall compared to last year. So again, 1 month, not a whole lot of story here, but costs are certainly up for the first month of the year. The next exhibits I let you go through at your leisure. So take us really to exhibit 11, this one. Oh, sorry. Exhibit 12. So if we catch up, if not a big deal. These are just the two large claims that were presented on the first executive summary page. So there were some run-out claims, it appears, that took place with these individuals because they are noted as not currently active on the plan. So should not have to see an extended run-out on those claims. Any other questions on the claims report this month?
No questions?
All right, thank you all.
Really appreciate it. Take a moment here. Wanna go ahead and introduce?
Yeah, I wanted to introduce a very special woman that we have with us today up on the screen. This is Dr. Christina Mason. She is our new Chief Talent Officer. So as you know, we've had a Chief Human Resources Officer in the past, and Emily Ellison has moved on to another school, and we will have Dr. Mason here in person next month, but she's currently, are you in Alaska today, Dr. Mason?
I am.
Okay.
I am. Hello, everyone. Sorry to be the big face on the screen, but finishing final preparations for my family and I to call Washoe County home. So I thank you for letting me just say a couple words, and I look forward to us working together. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you and welcome.
Robert, I just also wanted to mention real quickly, we have a couple other representatives that we don't always have in the room from Anthem today, Kelly and Jim. They've been here before, but they've flown in from out of state, so they are here also if we do have any additional Anthem questions relating to our topics as well today.
Great, thank you. Okay. 2.03, presentation and discussion of the Washoe County School District Insurance Anthem claims, activity and turnaround reports as of January 2023. Welcome.
Hello, Kelly Dvorak with Anthem for the record. Nice to see everybody. It's been several months. Glad I brought the cold with me, or you brought it to me. I'm not sure which way. We're going to start with the medical turnaround report. You'll see that we're only focusing on January here. So we had total of 12,785 claims for the month of January. For our turnaround times, we had 91.7% of those paid in the first 14 days once they came in the door. In the first 30 days, 94.5% were paid, and at this point in time, 99.9% of claims paid in 90 days. We have 3 claims that are outstanding that are going through review. So that's where we are for the medical for this month on the total. Down below, we have the breakout of the PPO as well as the HSA claim totals. You can see the bulk, as usual, of the claims came through the PPO plan at 11,500, and for the HSA, we had about just over 1,200 claims for the month of January. So any questions on the turnaround for medical?
Any questions?
Perfect.
We'll go to dental.
Oh, dental's much bigger. I can read that one. So for dental in January, we had 2,300 claims. We had 93.6% of those paid in the first 14 days, and the remaining claims paid in 30 days. So we were at 100% paid claims for dental in the first 30 days once they came in. So pretty standard, I think, for us on dental. Usually those get paid pretty quickly.
Are there any questions for Anthem about turnaround and payments? And I know earlier in the year we had some, but are there any questions since we have representatives here? No? Okay.
Let me off easy.
I know. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And we're happy to answer other questions if there are related to Anthem, so just let us know. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, 2.04. Presentation and discussion of the Washoe County School District Insurance Wellness Program report to cover events and programs as of January 2023. And welcome again.
Hi everyone, Mackenzie Howard for the record. So since our last meeting, we received our CompPsych utilization report. And so this chart shows how our members are reaching out to CompPsych, our EAP. So the first option is through telephone or email or online access, and then the total. And then this breaks down the quarters for last calendar year, and then the total for 2022 and 2021. So you can see that we've had an increase of utilization across the board compared from 2021 to 2022. For our next update for our Healthy Habit Challenges in February, so last week, we hosted a Healthy Habit Challenge that was focused on celebrating yourself. So I hope that all of you had the opportunity to celebrate yourself and the impactful work that you're doing. We had a total of 123 members sign up for this challenge and complete all 7 days. Next month in March, our Healthy Habit Challenge will be held from the 13th to the 19th, and it will be focused on a Minesweeper. We also will have a monthly wellness webinar held on the 15th at 4:30. March is National Nutrition Month, and so this webinar will focus on emotional eating and have members focus on the connection between mood and food. And on an exciting note, we have started the planning for next school year, so in the next coming months we'll have more updates on what we expect to do for next school year. Any questions?
Great. Jeff?
For the record, Jeff Boswell, Mackenzie, thank you for your presentation. 2 questions. I'll start with March's Healthy Habit Challenge. What is the Minesweeper event?
It's okay. So the Minesweeper is focused on the thoughts that we have throughout our day, and so there's a lot of meditation and mindfulness work to address some of the negative thoughts that we might experience throughout our day.
Okay, thank you. And then my second question, up to the comp site utilization. Is there a way for us to see a chart in a similar fashion of why our members are visiting comp site?
Sure. Next month I can bring some of the top reasons why people are contacting our EAP, and then there's also a little bit of data on if people have had to be referred to a therapist within Washoe County, or if their issue was resolved through CompSych. So I can bring more details on that as well.
That'd be great, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you, Jeff.
And I know with CompSych in the past as well, it's not just employees, it's all family members as well,
Yes.
including retirees as well, right?
No longer
we don't,
retirees.
We don't include retirees anymore, okay. But it's all family members within the family, so, you know, I know they've done some really detailed reports in the past, so they could give us an idea of utilization on that. Are there any other questions?
Just a quick comment. Eric Diamond, and I'll follow up with that. I was kind of curious to see specifically what is being utilized, because it you know, it obviously has some very serious implications for our employees. But then also I know that there are some lesser kind of services that are also provided that are not so intense. So it would be really good to see what's being utilized and make sure that we have everything that we need in. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you for the questions. Appreciate it.
And I just wanted to ask really quick, I'm sorry, before you walk away.
You're fine.
I saw the email about, I wasn't able to do it this year because of time, but about the snowshoeing and whatever. I just was curious how that went. Was that very successful? And I know you said that they were full.
The signups were full and the attendance has been full as well, which is always encouraging, right? And I think that they've been successful thanks to our volunteer park ranger, Dave Harrison, with the Carson Tahoe Forestry. He very graciously leads our hikes, and I just follow behind to make sure that everyone is together. And so overall, I think they've been run very well thanks to him.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. The next item is 2.05, discussion and possible action to provide a recommendation to the Board of Trustees to approve a possible decrease in the time frame from the Washoe County School District Group Insurance Committee new hire from 90-day benefit waiting period. And this is for discussion as well as possible action. Any discussion, comments, thoughts?
So, hi, Laura Thurston for the record. We have another wonderful guest today. Dr. Keogh is in front of us, and she's going to speak a little bit to this subject. But just to preference everything, we've had discussions with Dr. Enfield. She's highly on board of moving our 90-day wait to a 0-day wait, potentially starting July 1st is our goal and what we plan on doing this year, July 1st of 2023. So we're here for discussion on that, potential action, and then Dr. Keogh has a couple of words she'd like to put in as well.
Thank you so much. This is Sang Dao Ying Kyo for the record, and I am so excited to be in front of all you teammates and want to just share that Dr. Enfield is actually prioritizing this. One of the things that I first heard from her when I entered the district is how she wanted to really change the culture to one that is respectful of our teammates. And this is an example, so it's not just something that she talks about, but she really wanted this to be actionable. And so when she entered the district, she actually said to me, I can't believe this, I have to wait for health insurance. And guess what? I'm hiring you, and you do too. And she just said, this is really hard for us to do as a district if we actually want to recruit and retain excellent people. And one of the things that she said to me, I will always remember this because I think it's very true of Dr. Enfield, but she essentially just said, we can't say that we respect people if we don't respect them, right? So I want to be really clear about this. The reason why she is putting this forward and the reason why she has prioritized this is because she wants to prioritize respecting our people from day one. So we recognize that your health is really important. We recognize that your children and your partner's health are also very, very important. And so I'm really excited about this. And then I just also want to thank Dr. Mason and her team for leading this initiative so that we can have this in over the summer. We're aiming for, I believe, July 1st, and then potentially, essentially, aiming to pilot this that previous month so that we can work out kinks and make sure that this works for our staff and personnel. I also want to thank, if I've left out other members of the Washoe County School District team that have contributed to making this happen, I apologize, but I do want to say that it's a lot of people, a lot of really good, smart people coming together, just saying we've got to do better by our people. And we hope that this is one example and a testament to our commitment to you all.
Thank you. Question. Oh, we have a question for you, sorry.
Sure. Sorry.
This question may be more for Laura too, but Tony McMillan, we've discussed this at 30, 60, 90 level with a big concern for existing staff. And what is that workload and possibility on the existing staff? I think part of that is also the cost of insurance, because as the first two reports, costs are going up. So I'm concerned not just for new staff, but also existing, and what are these effects of the existing staff? Is 0 the right answer, or is 30 or 60 the right answer? And I don't have that. I look to you guys for maybe that information.
Sure, I can help answer that. Laura Thurston for the record. A huge difference from our previous conversations, I think, is that we have, as Dr. Keogh pointed out, we have a huge team that is working on this currently. When we were looking at it previously, when this was brought to the committee over a year ago, well before Dr. Enfield was even in the picture, right? When we were trying to decrease our wait time, we were looking at what can the benefits team do, and we talked a lot about we can do so much within our benefits team, but there's a lot of outside processes starting at the point of hire, right, or the point of application even. So with all of those with all of those teams in place now, we're looking at creating efficiencies throughout all of those processes. So I think that will help in terms of some of the. I thought I heard something. Sorry.
When you're done.
Oh, sure, of course. I definitely think that will help create some efficiencies. So we are now reevaluating how much, if we need more and additional employees. We're not at that point yet to say how many or who that will be. But that is our goal. That's where our plan is. Dr. Enfield has also made a strong point that she's willing to support us in that area as well if needed.
And Dr. Mason, did you have a comment?
I do. This is Dr. Christina Mason for the record. So as Laura says, our capacity has expanded because this really is not just a human resources endeavor. This touches multiple departments across our system. And as such, we formed a steering committee that is representative of those chiefs and members of their teams to ensure that our work is aligned, to ensure that our work is coherent, and that we are realistic about our timelines and our capacity. This is not out of our reach. This is something that's totally doable. I would like to thank publicly Chief Mathers and his team because they have been partners in this endeavor from the beginning, and not only just in thought partnership, right, and trying to think of all the different contingencies and things of that nature, but really like bringing the work to fruition, because we can't do this alone. And so what I value very much about this project is that it really is, I'm getting to learn a lot of different parts of our system because of all of the intersections that this work encompasses. So thank you for the question, sir. I can't see your name there, but thank you for the question. I am very confident that not only do we have a steering committee with the capacity to oversee the various phases of this, right? Because doing it, launching it is just one phase. Then we have to monitor, adjust, and then review again, right? So thinking about all of the phases, we have expanded our capacity and our cohesion and partnership as district teams to do this work together.
Thank you. Any other discussion, questions?
Eric Diamond for the record. I'd just like to say that the direction and leadership coming from Dr. Mason, Dr. Keogh, and through you, Dr. Enfield, is refreshing. As you all are probably pretty aware that I've been pretty action forward on this particular item, just trying to get it down to 30 days. Not only do I see it as being incredibly important to our members, but then also an incredibly attractive tool for our recruiting efforts. And I mean that for everybody, not just my particular spot either. So it's refreshing to see that leadership coming in, and I'm appreciative of it. And I think we should take advantage of this momentum and potentially get this thing done. In obviously in a very cautious and comprehensive manner, not carefree. I think we've had a lot of meaningful discussion over this over the last year. So thank you overall.
Thanks, Eric. Any other comments? Go ahead, Don.
Actually, it's a question, what action are we looking for? Sounds like this is going forth. Do we need action to continue that, or?
I'm recommending, if you want to take action, to recommend to the Board of Trustees a 0-day benefit wait beginning July 1st, 2023. The one thing we need to consider in there is some language to include any employee who would begin 90 days or sooner to that July 1st date. So for example, if someone starts on June 30th, we don't want to give them a 90-day wait, right? We want to start their benefits on July 1st. So we'll need to include some language there. That's my recommendation anyways, is to include all of those members.
Don?
Okay, I'll try to make that a motion. That was a lot. So I move, Dawn Echeverry for the record, I move that we move our wait period to 0 days starting July 1st to encompass anybody hired in the 90 days previous. As feasible.
Yes, anybody hired in the 90 days previous to that would start benefits July 1st.
Yes.
So they would have a compressed benefit wait time, right? And then anyone beginning hired July 1st or later in that year would start on their date of hire.
What she said.
Eric Diamond, I will second that motion with the amended and appropriate language for 0 days.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded and squealed. Is there any discussion before we move to a vote? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Okay, motion passes unanimously. Yes. Thank you very much. 2.06, approval of the minutes of the January 25th, 2023 Group Health Insurance Committee meeting. They were included in the email that came out. Are there any corrections or changes that need to be made? And if not, I'll take a motion to approve them.
Robert, Tony McMillan, just want to point out my name spelled 3 different ways in the agenda.
Thank you. We can work on getting those corrected.
For the record, Jeff Balzo, on item 2.07, approval of the minutes from the last meeting, it looks like 6 people voted to approve the minutes, but it says 5-0. But there's other votes here that show that there were 7 people. Items were approved 7-0, so I was just curious how many people were here, if anyone left early. I don't remember, but at least that one part needs to be fixed.
Do you remember if we had anyone leave on?
I wasn't here that day. I have to go back and look.
We had Jeannie. Okay, I'll go back and look at that.
I don't remember anybody leaving early. I do
I don't
remember, I
either.
think people came late, but I don't think anybody left early. And I do remember that there were some corrections, but other than that, I don't, but then we approved them with the corrections. So we need to look at the count of people voting, and then we need to fix Tony's name. 3 times.
Oh.
3 times. Yeah.
Well, I'm looking up there because I was here, but it doesn't show that I voted, so that's one of the first.
One of the ones that's missing. Any other?
Sorry, I just remembered something. Didn't we have a few people that weren't voting just because you're not voting for yourself as a chair? Is that
That
part of
was
the
on-
count? Or no?
That was on the 2.01 and 2, or 1, yeah.
Not for the last one.
But
Okay.
certainly not for the minutes.
We'll go back and pull from you.
The other missing person would be Vicky.
I was here.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, now I get 7.
Now we got 7. Just need to add Vicky and Dawn, sorry. Any other corrections? Go ahead, Jeff.
I don't see any other corrections, so I would motion to approve the minutes with the adjustments that we discussed today.
Is there a second?
Rachel Drake, I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adopt the minutes as amended, as corrected. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And those against, nay? Okay, motion passes. Okay. Let's see, 3.01, is there any public comment? Okay, seeing no public comment. The next meeting will be April 26, 2023 at 4 o'clock here at the Washington County School District Building in the boardroom. Okay. And with that, we are adjourned, without objection, of course. Okay.